Got a second? Hi, I'm Greg Hudson of the Communications Committee. Today we're going to discuss the unfortunate reduction bid that the company just opened. This is the kind of bid that no one wants to be part of, but it is imperative that all pilots make sure that their system bid is up to date and current while the bid is open. There are 3 tabs on the system bid page in Furlough: Vacancy, Voluntary, and Involuntary. We'll discuss the purpose and functionality of the 3 a little later, but in general the Vacancy tab is used to bid for open vacancy in the domicile, and the Voluntary and Involuntary tabs are used to list preferences if there's a reduction in your position. The Voluntary tab is used to voluntarily accept a displacement from your current position, and the Involuntary tab is used by the system if you cannot hold your current position. The Involuntary tab must be filled out by all pilots. FUR domicile. You will notice the addition of a new domicile, FUR. The company will use the FUR 321 FO to award furloughs, whether they be voluntary or involuntary, for captains and first officers that would like to be awarded a voluntary furlough. Pilots who wish to voluntary furlough should bid for that position in the Vacancy tab. A voluntary furlough must be placed on the Vacancy tab in order to guarantee that the request will be honored. If it appears on the Voluntary or Involuntary tabs, you cannot be guaranteed that the request will be honored. Vacancy tab. The Vacancy tab is your wish list, where you really want to be. The Vacancy tab must not include your current domicile and position, otherwise it will be invalidated, noted by the red inactive indication. You should see active and no red highlights once your bid is submitted. If you're currently where you want to be, the Vacancy tab should be blank. If you would like to bid for a voluntary furlough, you'd put that at the top of the Vacancy tab. To reiterate, if you are where you want to be, even if your position is being reduced, you should not fill out the Vacancy tab. If you take a vacancy, you will not be subject to CBA Section 6, which involves moving expenses. Voluntary tab. The Voluntary tab is only for base reductions. This tab is used to say, if reduction is needed in my position, I wish to volunteer to be one of the reductions and be displaced to the position listed in this tab. In other words, I'm at a base being reduced, which will not affect me due to my seniority, and am volunteering to change positions to save a junior pilot from being displaced. The Voluntary tab must not include your current position. This will invalidate your bid. Furlough 321 FO may be placed in your Voluntary tab. However, your Voluntary tab will only be evaluated if your position is identified for reduction and subsequently your seniority comes up to save a junior pilot. Therefore, we recommend all voluntary furlough bids be done via the Vacancy tab. Voluntary displacements are awarded in seniority order. If you're in the seat and base you wish to remain, do not fill out the Voluntary tab. Involuntary tab. The Involuntary tab is only for base reductions, base closures, ACY, or furlough. This tab should always be filled out by every Spirit pilot. The Involuntary tab is simply a list of all the positions, domicile and seat, available in your order of preference. If the base and seat you're currently in is where you want to stay, it should be first on the list. Here's an example. An ATL captain wishes to remain in his base and seat and is willing to move to Fort Lauderdale to remain a captain. The first bid line of the Involuntary tab should read ATL 321 Captain, and the second should read Fort Lauderdale 321 Captain. In subsequent bid lines, the pilot should list all positions, Orlando Captain, Detroit Captain, Newark Captain, etc., in the order they would like them considered. The system only looks at this tab in case of a reduction bid, when there are not enough voluntary displacements in your base to cover the number of reductions. If displaced, you will be placed in the first position on the list that your seniority will hold. First officers unable to hold any position will be awarded Furlough 321 FO. All pilots need to complete the Involuntary tab, with all choices that are available to bid, in the order you wish to be displaced. Percentages. There's an option to put a percentage next to your position choice. For example, I only want Detroit FO if I'm in the top 20%. If your seniority would not place you in the top 20%, then you will not be awarded it. To clarify, top 20% means top 20.00%. 20.01% will not get you there. Consider adding a buffer if you desire. You can use percentage-based bids on any of the 3 tabs. Note, percentages will only get you awarded into a base. It will not get you displaced out if you fall outside the range. If you have any questions, please send a dart to the scheduling committee. We'll see you next time, and fly safe.